Recovering from surgery, I got a message from my sister. "You're free anyway. Keep my 2 kids for a week while I go to Dubai." I didn't reply. Instead, I decided she'd get a homecoming she'd never forget. When she walked through that door, her face went completely pale. "I'm Grace. I have 2 kids of my own, a full-time job, and a patience level that's been running dangerously low for years. My sister, Melanie, is 4 years younger and lives like she's starring in some influencer reality show. She doesn't have a job. She travels constantly. Tulum, Mykonos, the Maldives, and now Dubai. That's all within the last 6 months. Her passport probably gets stamped more often than my time card at work. Meanwhile, I'm in Missouri, balancing a 4th grader, a toddler, and for the past few months, her 2 kids, Ellie and Jonah. Ellie's 10, Jonah's 7. Sweet kids, quieter than they should be. I've noticed they flinch whenever someone raises their voice. That part hurts more than I'd like to admit. Melanie dropped them off 3 months ago, said she needed a mental reset, told me she was heading to a wellness retreat for 2 weeks. I agreed. She sounded desperate, and I figured, it's fine. I've babysat them before. 2 weeks won't kill me. That was 11 weeks ago. She hasn't come back. She never even asked if she could extend the stay, just kept sending vague excuses. Then came the Instagram posts. First a spa in Istanbul, then beach clubs in Ibiza, and now camel rides in Dubai. I wouldn't even know where she was if it weren't for social media. I started screenshotting everything after week 4. What really broke me wasn't even the exhaustion, it was her attitude. She'd send these light, casual texts. "So glad they're in good hands, sis. You're the best auntie ever." Like she'd just done me a favor, not dumped 2 entire lives on my doorstep. She tells people I love having her kids. And while I love my niece and nephew dearly, I didn't sign up to raise them. There's a big difference between helping family and being completely taken advantage of. Then there's Ryan, her ex-husband. They divorced 3 years ago, and ever since, he's been stuck in this strange place where he wants to be part of his kids' lives, but can't. Melanie made sure of that. Told the court he was unstable and manipulative. She cried in front of the judge and got primary custody. He only sees them 1 weekend a month, if that. But Ryan texts me all the time, asks how they're doing, if Ellie's asthma is under control, if Jonah's eating right. He's bought them shoes, a tablet for school, even paid for Jonah's braces when Melanie forgot the appointment. At first, I brushed him off. I didn't want to get stuck in the middle. But one night, Jonah got a nosebleed and cried for his dad. I panicked and called Ryan. He showed up in 15 minutes with Gatorade, cotton balls, and Jonah's favorite dinosaur book. He didn't even hesitate. That night, I realized something I'd been trying not to admit. Melanie doesn't deserve these kids. She loves the idea of being a mom, not the reality of it. And I'd been covering for her because she's my sister, even though it's the kids who've paid the price. So I started talking to Ryan, really talking. I told him everything. The lies, the drop-offs, the silence. I showed him screenshots. He listened quietly, then said, "We need to fix this before she comes back." That's when things got serious. Ryan called his lawyer. I gathered every message, every request for help, every photo of her out partying while I was helping Ellie with homework. We documented everything. The missed appointments, Ellie's anxiety, Jonah's therapy sessions that Ryan paid for out of pocket. And then the kids went to stay with Ryan. I told Melanie they'd spend a weekend with their dad. That was 2 weekends ago. She didn't question it. Too busy riding dune buggies and flirting with some guy named Emery. She's flying back next Thursday. She has no idea that Ryan and I already filed an emergency custody petition. She doesn't know the school's been notified. She doesn't know Child Services has been reviewing the timeline. She's coming home to a life that's no longer hers, and I'll be there when she finds out. Melanie landed on a Thursday morning. She texted me from the airport like nothing had happened. "Hey, I'm back. Can't wait to see my babies." No acknowledgement of how long she'd been gone. No check-in. Just assumed I'd been her unpaid nanny all this time. I didn't respond. I forwarded the text to Ryan and waited. He was calm, almost too calm. "Let's see what she does first," he said. The petition had been filed 4 days earlier. Everything was timed perfectly. Since the kids were already with him, there'd be no sudden handoff to raise suspicion. Melanie showed up at my house that afternoon. 2 pink suitcases, designer hoodie, sunglasses, the whole jet-set mom look. She rang the bell like she lived there. When I opened the door, she tried to hug me. I stepped back and asked where she thought the kids were. She blinked, smiled awkwardly. "You said they were with Ryan for the weekend, right? I figured I'd pick them up." That's when I told her, "They're not coming back." She laughed, thought I was joking. It took a full 30 seconds for her to realize I wasn't. I told her Ryan filed for emergency custody. The court had been notified. I wasn't covering for her anymore. She lost it, started yelling, accusing me of betrayal, jealousy, manipulation. I didn't argue. I just let her talk. Right there on my porch, screaming into the quiet street, while I stood holding a folder full of receipts. I handed her Ryan's lawyer's contact info and told her not to come back here. 2 days later, she showed up at Ryan's house. He didn't let her in. She called the cops, said he kidnapped her kids. The officers asked for documentation. Ryan handed them everything. They told her to take it up with family court and left. After that, she went quiet. For a while. Then came the Instagram meltdown, a long, dramatic post in black and white text about being a single mother fighting an unfair system and how family should never turn on family. I knew exactly who that last part was aimed at, but the comments didn't go how she expected. Some defended her, sure, but many started asking questions. Why hadn't she posted her kids in months? Why was she always traveling alone? Why was I taking Ellie to gymnastics and Jonah to therapy? Then someone dug up her recent post 3 weeks ago. Champagne glass, yacht, caption. "Don't wait for your life to start. Take the trip, kiss the stranger, drink the wine." Didn't exactly fit the devoted mom image she was trying to sell. Meanwhile, Ryan got temporary custody. Judge cited her extended absence and clear pattern of neglect. Basically, she left her kids for 3 months without a plan. I thought maybe she'd calm down, handle it like an adult. Instead, she called my mom, told her I'd stolen her family. My mom hates confrontation, but she called me crying, asking what was going on. So I told her everything. The trips, the missed birthdays, the nights we couldn't reach Melanie when the kids were sick. For once, Mom didn't defend her, and that's when I knew things were changing. Melanie spiraled, tried filing to get the kids back immediately, but the court denied it until a full hearing. That hearing came fast. Monday morning, Ryan and I met outside the courthouse early. He looked nervous but steady, holding a binder that could have been a college thesis. His lawyer was calm, efficient, and completely no nonsense. I liked that. Melanie would show up with excuses and lip gloss. We had facts. The courtroom wasn't fancy. Beige walls, old benches, bad coffee, but it felt heavy. Everything that had been quietly boiling for years was about to break open. Melanie walked in late. Not by much, just enough to remind everyone the world still revolved around her. Sunglasses, heels too high, a dress that looked expensive but wildly inappropriate. No lawyer. Said she didn't need one, that the truth speaks for itself. That gave Ryan's lawyer an instant advantage. I don't think Melanie realized how serious things were until she heard her name, followed by petitioner, father requesting emergency custody based on abandonment and neglect. The judge didn't smile once. Ryan's lawyer laid everything out, like clockwork. Melanie's trips, exact dates, every message, every post, each missed appointment. There were charts, actual printed charts, showing how often she traveled versus how much time she spent with her kids. Then came the turning point. A letter from Ellie's school noting I'd been listed as the emergency contact for nearly a year. Then Jonah's therapy notes. He'd told his counselor he wished his real home was with Daddy and Aunt Grace because Mommy doesn't come back. Melanie tried interrupting. Twice. Said we were lying, twisting things, that I'd always been jealous of her. The judge told her to stop talking, reminded her everything was being recorded. That shut her up for a moment. Then she made her biggest mistake. She accused Ryan of turning the kids against her, say he used me to build a false case. No evidence, no witnesses, no records, just anger. Ryan's lawyer didn't even argue. She just handed the judge a printout. Melanie's own Instagram caption from Dubai. Still not ready to go home. Freedom feels too good. It was posted 2 days after Jonah had a fever I couldn't reach her about. The judge stared at that post for a long moment. No one spoke. Then came the final piece, a report from the kid's school counselor. Jonah had drawn a picture of me, Ryan, Ellie, and himself under a banner that read, "My safe home." When asked where his mom was, he said, "She's in the airplane." Melanie said nothing after that. The judge ruled immediately, temporary full custody to Ryan. And for once, my sister had nothing left to say. The court's final order was clear. Melanie was granted supervised visitation only, 2 one-hour sessions per week at a neutral facility. She was also required to complete parenting classes and couldn't travel without prior court approval. When we left the courthouse, she didn't look at me. She walked straight past Ryan, through the exit, and out into the parking lot as if nothing had occurred. No tears, no apology, just silence. Later that day, she posted one of those vague quotes on her Instagram story, something about betrayal and how love can be turned into a weapon. Nobody responded, not even the friends who usually filled her comments. Ellie asked me quietly if she really had to go to the visits. Not because she was afraid. She just didn't want to. That said more than anything spoken in court. We still have the final hearing ahead, but Melanie was no longer in control, and she knew it. For 2 full weeks after that, she disappeared. No calls, no visits, no appearance at the supervised center. The court had permitted 2 sessions per week. She didn't attend a single one. Ryan documented everything, each missed visit, every unanswered message. The silence felt unsettling, like the calm before something worse. Then, late on a Tuesday night, he got a text. "I'm coming to get them. Be ready." No emojis, no context, just that. It didn't sound like a bluff. Ryan didn't respond. He forwarded the message to his lawyer, who filed an emergency alert with the court the next morning. I contacted the school immediately, instructing the principal not to release the kids to anyone but Ryan or me. They understood and confirmed in writing. That Friday night, I was at Ryan's house helping with dinner. The kids were watching a movie in the living room, arguing over popcorn flavors. Jonah mixing caramel and cheese as usual. We were halfway through cleaning up when headlights swept across the window, then went dark. A car had pulled up, but didn't move or make a sound. Ryan checked the blinds and turned to me. It's her. Melanie stepped out moments later, heels, party clothes, phone in one hand, keys in the other. It was past 9. She walked to the porch like she still lived there. She didn't knock. She didn't ring. She simply shouted, "I'm taking them home. You don't get to keep what's mine." Ryan didn't open the door. I told him not to. We let her shout. For about 2 minutes, she yelled, accusations, threats, insults, until a neighbor came out and asked if everything was okay. She turned on him, which proved to be a mistake. He'd seen the kids walking to school with me for months. He pulled out his phone and started filming. Melanie then tried to open the front door. That's when the police arrived. Neither of us had called them. Someone down the street had heard her yelling about taking her children by force and called it in. The officers were calm and professional. They asked for IDs and an explanation. Ryan handed over a copy of the court order. Melanie had nothing. She insisted it was all a misunderstanding, that she was the real parent and had every right to take her kids home. Then she said something that sealed the matter. "They're not even his kids anymore. My sister's turning them against me." The officer looked back at the paperwork, then asked directly if she was trying to take the children without legal custody. Melanie said yes, without realizing the weight of her own admission. The officer told her she could either leave voluntarily or be escorted away. She chose to leave, but threw one final line over her shoulder. "This isn't over. You think this makes you a mother? You'll never be their mom." She was wrong about that. Just as she reached her car, another vehicle pulled up behind hers, a black Honda. A man got out, someone I didn't recognize, but she did. She froze. He was tall, well-dressed, expensive watch, tailored shirt, the kind of man who looked polished and precise. This was Emre. She had mentioned him before, said he was from Istanbul, different from the others. I assumed he was another brief relationship. Apparently, she had told him a story, a false one. She'd claimed Ryan was dead, that she was a struggling single mother abandoned by her family, trying to rebuild her life while writing a memoir in Dubai. Emre believed her until he began receiving anonymous emails with screenshots, photos, even links to court documents about her required parenting classes. He flew to the States to confront her, not to defend her, but to end things. The moment he saw the police car and Ryan on the porch, it all made sense. He didn't speak to her. He simply turned, got back into his car, and drove away. Melanie chased after him, calling his name. He didn't stop. The officer asked if we wanted to press charges for attempted interference with custody. Ryan declined. He didn't need revenge. He already had the children. That night, Melanie didn't return home. Instead, she went to her biological mother's house, the one she hadn't spoken to in 3 years. Later, I learned she told her mother she planned to surrender custody, not out of guilt or realization, but because there was nothing left to fight for. When her lawyer filed the paperwork officially relinquishing her parental rights, it was uneventful. No final confrontation, no emotional apology, just a digital document from the county court, confirming what we already knew. Ryan now had full legal and physical custody of Ellie and Jonah, effective immediately. No appeal filed. It should have felt like victory, and in some ways, it did. Ryan had spent 3 years fighting for this. The kids finally had stability. The chaos was over. But it wasn't clean. Nothing involving Melanie ever was. The day the papers cleared, she sent one last message. "Tell them I tried." That was it. No apology, no affection, just a vague attempt to rewrite history. I showed Ryan the text. He read it once and put his phone down silently. Ellie saw it later and asked, "Why would she say that?" I didn't have an answer that would make sense to a 10-year-old. After that, Melanie disappeared entirely. Her number was disconnected within a week. Her social media went private, frozen on old posts of yachts and infinity pools. Her friends stopped mentioning her. A few even reached out to me, apologizing. One said, "I didn't know it was that bad. I thought she just needed a break." I thought that once too. Then I ran into one of her old friends, Marcy, at Target. We made small talk until she said, "I heard about everything." I didn't think she'd actually go through with it. I asked, "Go through with what?" Marcy looked surprised. She told me months ago she was leaving, said she was done being a mom, wanted to start over, new country, new men, new life. She said she'd drop the kids off with you because you'd never say no. She laughed when she told her, apparently. I stood there holding a box of laundry pods, feeling the truth settle in. Melanie hadn't lost control. She'd planned it. She didn't collapse under pressure. She walked away by design. All those texts about needing space and finding herself weren't cries for help. They were her exit plan. I wasn't a temporary solution. I was her way out. And she was right about one thing. I didn't say no. I couldn't. I loved Ellie and Jonah too much to let them be caught in her chaos. A few weeks later, Ryan and the kids moved into a new home. Just 15 minutes away, but a world apart. Ellie picked lavender curtains and fairy lights. Jonah lined his dinosaur figurines on the windowsill exactly as he had at my house. Ryan invited me over for dinner one evening. He'd made spaghetti and garlic bread. After dinner, he said he wanted me to meet someone. Dana, a nurse. Kind, steady, easy to talk to. Ellie had made her a bracelet. Jonah gave her a spare soccer pin in case she ever wants to coach. It didn't feel forced or too soon. It felt normal. Later, as I was leaving, Ryan asked quietly, "She's not coming back, is she?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. He nodded, understanding. Then he said, "You saved them, Grace." I didn't respond to that either, because I hadn't saved them. I'd just been there when she left. It's been 8.5 months since Melanie surrendered custody. Sometimes I still check the date, not because I'm counting, but because it still feels unreal how it ended. No final outburst, no appeal, just silence. Life didn't pause without her. It moved forward. Better. Ryan's new house isn't big, but it's theirs. Ellie's room is lavender. Jonah's is dinosaur leaf, a shade of green he insists is special. Their walls are covered in drawings, books, and photos that prove this is home now. Ryan built a swing in the backyard. Dana helped. She lives there now. She fits effortlessly, attending every soccer game, school play, and parent meeting. She knows their routines, their fears, their favorite meals. The kids adore her. They don't call her mom. They don't have to. They just know she stays. Melanie has become a memory. No calls, no messages, no birthdays. Her social media hasn't changed in months, like she froze her life at the moment before it fell apart. Sometimes I wonder where she is, but I never wonder what she's doing. She's chasing the same distractions as before. Ellie asked about her once, late at night. "Will Mom ever come back?" I told her honestly, "I don't know, but even if she does, you're safe now. You're home." Ellie didn't cry. She just nodded and asked if we could get pancakes in the morning. Jonah hasn't mentioned her in months. Kids notice more than we think. They know who stays when it matters. People sometimes ask if I regret it, if I resent how much I gave up to care for someone else's children. I don't. Not for a second. Because every time I see Ellie run to Ryan after school or Jonah ask for fries after practice, I remember why I said yes that day. It was never about Melanie. It was always about them. They're okay now. More than okay. Last week, Jonah drew a picture at school. It was a house with 4 stick figures. Him, Ellie, Ryan, and Dana. I was on the porch holding cookies. He labeled it Auntie Grace's Cookies, the good kind. He didn't draw Melanie. He didn't ask about her. Some people just don't come back.